Find Psalm 42 and put your finger there, because we're not going to get to it for a little while this morning. We have some introductory stuff to come to first. So once you've found Psalm 42, you can turn to the book of Numbers, chapter 16. Book of Numbers, chapter 16. While you're turning there, I've got to tell you, I'd ask for your prayers for me. God is obviously trying to tell me something, and I don't know what it is yet. I'm not paying enough attention. You know, we joke about, well, God had to hit me upside the head with a 2x4 because I wasn't paying attention. Well, yesterday I was out in front of my garage. We have a detached garage from our house, and I was kind of looking for something in there, just kind of peeking in. And all of a sudden, bam, off the back of my head. And I thought, what, did somebody throw a rock at me or what? And it turns out that a blue jay has made a nest in our garage, and Mom came down thinking I was coming near the eggs. And, I mean, full-blown, body slam against the back of my head, and then got in this tree above me and is going, I thought, okay, well, I thought a lot of things at the moment, but afterwards I'm thinking, okay, Lord, are you trying to tell me something? So if there's something there, pray for me. I'll pay attention before I have to get slammed in the head again. Numbers chapter 16. Why are we in Numbers if where we're studying is in the book of Psalms? Well, the reason is because in the book of Psalms we've come to the end of what's called Book 1. The Psalms are actually 5 books put together. We're at the end of Book 1 and we're at the beginning of Book 2. And at the beginning of Book 2 we find most of the Psalms that were written by the sons of Korah. There are about 10 or so Psalms that are identified as being authored by the sons of Korah. And I don't know about you, but when I saw that I thought, let me remind myself of who Korah is. Do I know who Korah is? And we find a very interesting thing for someone to say and claim that they are the son of Korah. So we get to chapter 16, and right in the second word there we find Korah. Verse 1, chapter 16, book of Numbers. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with some of the children of Israel, 250 leaders of the congregation, representatives of the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered together against Moses and Aaron, and said to them, You take too much upon yourselves, for all the congregation is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord? Now let's stop here for a minute and remember what the context of this story is. The context is they are in the wilderness between the time they've been released from Egypt and led toward the promised land, but now they're going to spend 40 years in the wilderness because of a previous rebellion. And now they're camped, and the tribe of Levi has been appointed by God to be those who care for the tabernacle. There's a lot of stuff to take care of in the tabernacle. The tabernacle is where they worshiped God. It was where the presence of God manifested himself. It's where the sacrifices took place. Well, there's a lot of stuff to take care of when you're slaughtering animals all day long and cooking them and bringing things in. There's cleanup to be done. There are doorkeepers that need to be there. There are those who need to lead the congregation in singing and worshiping the Lord. When they move, they've got to pack the whole tabernacle up and carry it on and then set it back up again. There's a lot of stuff to be done. And the Levites were appointed to do that. But only the priesthood, Aaron and Moses, were of the tribe of Levi, but only those who were the sons of Aaron were appointed to be priests before God and to actually offer the sacrifices, including offering a sacrifice of incense before the Lord. In the tabernacle, there was the Holy of Holies where, the Ark of the Covenant was. And then just outside of that was the holy place, and 3 important things were there. There was the giant menorah. the lampstand that was lit at all times. And there was the table of showbread, 12 loaves of bread representing God's provision to each of the 12 tribes. Those were on either side of the entrance into the holy place, most holy place. But right in front of the entrance into the most holy place to get past the curtain, there was this little altar. Stood about this high. It was about 1.5 feet square, about a cubit square. It was called the altar of incense. And continually there was incense burning there before the most holy place. Now, incense throughout the Scripture is a type or a symbol or a picture of prayer. And so there's this sense of there being prayer before God and prayer for the congregation continually. Just like Paul says, pray without ceasing. Don't stop. Pray all the time. Well, this was a symbol of that there's always prayers going up before the Lord. And what these guys are challenging Moses and Aaron about is, hey, we ought to be able to go in there and take care of putting the incense there and so forth. We're just as holy as you are. What makes you so big? Verse 4, so when Moses heard it, he fell on his face. And he spoke to Korah and all his company, saying, tomorrow morning the Lord will show who is his and who is holy, and will cause him to come near to him. That one whom he chooses he will cause to come near to him. Do this. Take censers, Korah, and all of your company, all 250 of you. Put fire in it, put incense in it before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord chooses is the Holy One. You take too much upon yourselves, you sons of Levi. They just said, hey, you're taking too much upon yourself. And he says, no, you're taking too much upon yourself. Why? Well, because God had appointed Moses and Aaron to be the ones offering the incense. But here the Levites were saying, but what about us? Why aren't we good enough? Why aren't we good enough? So, we pick it up in verse 16. Moses said to Korah, tomorrow you and all your company be present before the Lord, you and they as well as Aaron, and let each take a censer, put incense in it, and each of you bring a censer before the Lord, 250 censers, both you and Aaron, each with his censer. So every man took his censer, put fire in it, laid incense on it, and stood at the door of the tabernacle of meeting with Moses and Aaron. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. And then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a minute. And then they fell on their faces and said, O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin and you be angry with all the congregation? So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the congregation, saying, get away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, the leaders of this rebellion.